Hello there! I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm doing this video today to talk about intuition. So during this short video we are going to address what intuition is, how you can develop it, how it's actually talking to you, and then I'm going to share a little story of how powerful your intuition is and how much it can guide you in your life. It's a bit of a crazy story. So, I believe that it's super important to learn to understand how our intuition is talking to us, because our intuition is our soul's language. It's really the language of our soul to our personality, to our ego, to our mind. And it's supposed to guide us. It's like an inner GPS. You know, we have Google so that we can navigate the streets. Well, we have our intuition to navigate the challenges of life. And that's why I want to give you all these tips, and that's why I want to support you in understanding your intuition. So let's start at the beginning. I'm talking with words right now, right? You talk with words too. I'm sure you do. But you also talk with your body. You also talk with nonverbal communication. Your arms being crossed, your face, your smile, your eyes. And that nonverbal communication comes from your body and is for the outer world to understand you better. You don't need to learn how to express and how to use that nonverbal communication. It's innate. But you do need to learn, you can learn how to understand nonverbal communication from other people. What does it mean when the eyes are looking up left or down, and the arms and everything? You can learn about it. There are amazing schools teaching nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication, the way I'm talking about it right now, so it's from your body to the outside world. Okay? But your body is also talking to your inner world. It's also talking to you. And that language is your intuition. That language comes from your soul. Your soul doesn't need to learn how to talk to you. It's innate. So your intuition has a natural way of talking to you that's unique to you. But you, if you want to, you kind of have to learn how to listen to it, how to interpret it, how to understand it, so that you can start having a communication, an exchange with your soul and that language. And like every learning process, as if you were learning a new language, it can be frustrating, and then sometimes you're not going to understand and you're going to fail and everything. But once you start being more comfortable with it, it really opens the door to a whole new world. Like imagine you started speaking Spanish. Suddenly you could be at ease in South America and all the things you discovered there. Huge, right? It's the same for your intuition. Once you start understanding how it's really talking to you, it opens the door to a whole new world. But there's something a bit tricky here. And that's, the fact that your intuition, your soul, is only talking to you. You're the only person meant to understand what your soul is saying. So you're the teacher and you're the student. Nobody can actually tell you how your intuition is talking to you. Now, I'm not doing this video to let you stay in that space of, good luck, you gotta figure it out, bye. No, I'm gonna give you some guidance. Because even though you're the only one that can learn how your intuition is talking to you, and it's different for every person, spiritual teachers have been sharing some cues about it for ages. And I have my own experience that I'm happy to share with you. And I will be sharing a story with you at the end of this video that's going to make it very, very clear to you. Okay? So, on the path of discovering the language of your intuition, I should say the language of your soul, which is your intuition, I'm going to share with you that your intuition can talk to you in 3 different ways. Let me be very clear, I'm talking about intuition here. I'm not talking about mediumship, psychic abilities, and extrasensorial like languages. I'm not talking about clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairknowing, and all the clairs. I'm talking about intuition. So your intuition can talk to you in 3 different ways. Usually you have one main channel and then you have the 2 others as well, but they could develop the more you learn to understand them. The first one is hearing. So you can hear the voices in your head. And one is your soul and one is your ego, your inner child, your warrior, and all the other personalities. And hearing is a funny one because quite often we say we are expecting that voice to be different than our own voice. Thank you. We're expecting to have like a magical voice that would come and pop up from somewhere and say something. But it's not like that because it's your own voice. It's your soul. It's a part of you that's talking to you. So you're going to be hearing cues in your mind in your own voice. The next question is, how do I then differentiate that from my ego and the fear and the limiting beliefs that I have? Well, it's actually very simple because your intuition and your ego, all the other voices basically, talk in a very, very different way. And I'm going to give you some cues here again so that you can learn to identify, okay, what was that voice? Is that my ego or is that my soul? And to be able to identify that, you really need to be grounded. You need to slow down. You need to be able to pay attention to your thoughts. Because if you're always planning and thinking and worrying, the voice of your soul can be so subtle and so quick that you can really miss it. Okay? So what are the main differences between your intuition and your ego? First of all, like I already said, your intuition is very quick. It's very subtle. It's gonna be a kind of suggestion. Your voice, your intuition is really there to suggest you things. And sometimes it's going to be very small things. It's not going to be something huge. It can be, but often it's small things such as, what if I bought this book? What if I watched this video on YouTube? Maybe, that's what happened when you decided to watch this video. It's your intuition who was like, oh yeah, what if I looked at this? It looks interesting. So it's going to do suggestions. It's going to do it in a very quick and subtle way, almost at the speed of light, so you could miss it if you're too busy thinking and worrying. It's also going to suggest things. It's never going to force you into anything, push you and insist. So you could hear a word or you could hear phrases, sentences, and it's going to start with, what if I did that? Shall I do this? And another main difference is that it talks in I. What if I did that? What if I bought this book? What if I signed up for this course? What if I went there for my holidays? What if I went to see this person? What if I stayed home instead of going to this party? Or what if I went to this party instead of staying home? So the main characteristics of your intuition talking in your mind is that it's very quick, very subtle. It's like in a fraction of a second. It does a suggestion of something small. It says, what if, shall I? And it talks in I, me, I, because it's you. Your ego, on the other hand, completely different. It's going to insist on what it said. It's going to repeat it 5 minutes later. When we have these thoughts and they come back over and over again in our mind, Your ego is insisting. It's going to repeat what it just said 10 minutes ago, and it's going to repeat it the next day. It's very demanding. It's fear-based. It's because the purpose of the ego is to keep you safe. So he wants to make sure that you're safe all the time. So he's looking at all the danger that's around you and all the risks you could be taking. So it's fear-based. It's quite demanding and pushy and a bit schizophrenic, you know. For example, it's going to say one day, why are you doing this video? You're stupid. Nobody cares about your work. Who do you think you are for doing this? And then you grab all your strength and your courage together because your soul was like, no, you should do this. This is your direction. And you're like, okay, I'm doing this video, or I'm writing this book, or I'm launching this course, or I'm signing up for this, or I'm moving there. Whatever it is you're doing, that's scary. You're doing it, and then after it's a success, and then your ego is like, awesome, I told you it was going to work out. You did a great job. You know, it's a bit like schizophrenic. If your ego was a real person, you'd be like decide what you want. You're changing your mind all the time. So that's the ego. And as you noticed, I'm talking in you. That's also a very big difference. It's that it's talking in you. Who do you think you are? You're stupid. You're awesome. Congrats. Like, it's always going to be insisting, excessive, talking in you, demanding, pushy, and repetitive. Whereas your soul is going to be suggestive because it's all-knowing. It knows what's best for you. My story is going to illustrate that. It's a crazy story. It's all-knowing. So it knows what the next step is. And it's really much in the present moment as well. Your soul is really much in the present moment. So it's just showing you the next step, not the whole direction, not the whole map. Whereas your ego is going to focus on what's the worst case scenario if you do that. And it's going to really project himself in the future. But far away, like a far away future, not just the next 5 minutes. Okay? So I hope that really helps you to identify the differences between the way your soul is talking to you and the way your ego is talking to you. And once you get used to it, it's actually very easy to differentiate them. But remember, hearing, it's always your own voice that you're going to hear. Okay? The second channel, that your intuition is talking to you, that the second channel that your intuition is using to talk to you is seeing with your inner eye, not with your real eyes. We only see 2% of the reality. So that's where your soul comes in. But the tricky thing with seeing is that it really forces us to trust ourselves. Because your soul is going to use your imagination to fill the gap of the 98% that you don't see. And because we live in a very left-brain society where everything needs to be rational and logical and proved and science-baked and blah, 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 we have a tendency to not trust what we are seeing in our mind's eye. We don't trust what we are imagining. We are almost disconnected from our dreams. Like, do you write your dreams when you wake up? Well, you should, if you want to, of course, because your dreams is also another way that your soul is talking to you. That's your mind's eye. So seeing, it's really inviting you to trust what you're imagining. If your soul has put an image in your imagination, in your mind, it's for a reason. It has a message. And then very often, there's a lot of symbolism in these messages that you also need to learn. But really, if you want to develop your mind's eye, your seeing channel, you have to start trusting yourself and trust what you're seeing. So then the third channel is feeling. Someone's knocking on the door. I'm going to have to pause this. Okay, here we are. So the third channel, like I was saying, is feeling. That's my favorite channel, personally, because it's the easiest one for me. Your soul really uses your body, like I was saying, nonverbal communication from your inner world. And it uses your sensations, your emotions a lot to guide you. And for me, it's the easiest one because you can tune in with it whenever you want to, whenever you feel like it. You can just close your eyes, bring all your attention to your belly and ask yourself, how does this feel? Does it feel expansive or restrictive? Warm or cold? Open or closed? Your body is always sending you signs, always giving you sensations that are going to help you find the right guidance and the right next step. Okay? So your intuition talks to you in three ways. Hearing, and you have to learn to identify the difference between your ego and your soul's voice. I've given you lots of differences between these two. Seeing, start trusting your imagination. Start journaling and writing down your dreams as soon as you wake up. Get a book about symbolism and all the symbols that your soul is using in your dreams and in your imagination to talk to you. And then feeling, tune in with your body. If you feel that that is your main channel, take the time every once in a while, no, I would say a few times a day, a few minutes a day, to just tune in with yourself and reconnect to your body. We are so disconnected from our bodies because we just see them as machines that where we put fuel and we eat and then we keep going, and if we're tired we sleep. But our bodies are so wise because they are connected to our soul. The more grounded you are, the more incarnated you are, the more your body is going to talk to you and give you cues. Okay? So, that crazy story that I've been telling you about, it's really going to make you see how your intuition is talking to you. I love this story. It really changed my whole perception on how powerful intuition is and knows much better than I do what I need. I was in LA 2 years ago visiting my boyfriend at the time, now husband. And he was working in the afternoon and I wanted to explore the city a little bit. So I took the car and I decided I was going to do a kind of movie tour of LA because it's LA, come on. So I decided I was going to go to Beverly Hills, see all the nice fancy houses, have all the Hollywood stars. And then I wanted to go to the Conti Museum of Art, I think it's called, where there's a beautiful sculpture made of all kinds of lanterns. And there are so many romantic scenes of movies that have been filmed there. So I wanted to go and see it. And I was living in Canada at the time, so I didn't have any data on my phone. And so I put the address of Beverly Hills and the museum, and I thought, well, it's going to say on my Google Maps, and then I'm just going to drive there. Unfortunately, for some reason, it didn't. So I was driving, I thought I was on the right direction, and then suddenly my GPS doesn't work anymore. I kind of knew that from Santa Monica to LA, Beverly Hills was on the way, so I just kept driving. I didn't worry that much, and then I saw Beverly Hills. Suddenly the whole landscape changed, and I had lots of fun driving through the streets and everything. So that was my first stop of my touristic afternoon. And then I took my phone again and I tried to connect to the Wi-Fi because I really wanted to go and see that art piece in front of the museum. And it wasn't working. I was trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. I was trying to zoom as well on the map to try to see if I could find a museum somewhere. But LA is such a big city. I was like, wow, I think I've never been in such a big city. Really, really big for the little Belgian girl that I am. And I kept trying because I really wanted to go and see that place, but I couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. Google Maps wasn't uploading, and I couldn't find it on the map either when I was zooming on the map. So I tried 2-3 times. I would drive and then I would stop to the side and then try again, blah, blah. Long story short, I gave up. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to find it now. I could ask people, but I'm not even sure of how it's called. My memory also left me that day. So I just thought, I'm just going to have fun, explore the city. Like, how bad can it be to drive around the city and just discover a city? And then if I see something nice, I'll stop. And then when the sun sets, I'll just go back to Santa Monica, which is where the sun sets. Easy. And so I was driving around and I was then really just going with the flow and following the guidance of, what if I went there? What if I went left? What if I went right? Oh, this looks like a nice street. I'm just going to go there. So you see how I'm speaking? What if? And then suddenly I saw a beautiful red building with like beautiful architecture and red lights. And so I drive towards the building and then I see all the cars, lots of cars turning to the left. And then I think, oh, well, I might as well just follow the cars. I have no idea where I'm going anyway. So I go to the building, I go to the left, following all the cars. I'm driving a little bit further. And then suddenly I see the museum on my left. And I'm like, what the hell? And I start laughing hysterically, because I'm like, how in the world did I find this museum, not knowing where it was, without a GPS, and just by following the hints of my body of, what if I went left, what if I went right? I was like, statistically, what are the percentage of chances that I end up here exactly where I wanted, without, and having completely let go of the how? So I got out of the car, I did pictures, I was overly excited. And that day I really promised myself to always listen to the little hints and the little voices in my head that say, what if? And the feeling in my body of, right is warm, left is cold. Because your intuition, your soul is all-knowing. It just guides you for the next step, but it knows where it wants to bring you. It's there to serve your highest desires too. I wanted to go to that art piece in front of the museum and my soul led me there. It really did. Like, we have an inner GPS that is much more powerful than Google Maps and any kind of GPS in the world. So this story blew my mind. That's why I'm sharing it with you. And that's why I would really invite you to start learning how your intuition is talking to you and start tuning in with it so that you can also be guided in your life and just always follow the next step. You don't need to know exactly where you're going. Your soul knows much better than you do. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You can give a little like to this video if you learned anything, or just subscribe to my channel for further videos. Much love, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!